Okay, so we are then recording now. So this is July 19th Drupal UX meeting, and we'll review a few things. So I think Ted wanted to demo the outside in stuff. I think that we should start with that because that seems to be the biggest fish in the pond, and then go through.
Okay, I'm changing. So I just got CSS right before the meeting, so I need to change one thing. I guess. Okay, I got it. About to share my screen. Okay, so share screen. You guys see it?
Yep.
Cool.
So this is the issue for people who haven't seen it. In chat. Should I put it in Slack so it's available? Like on back scroll? Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is basically, I don't know if it was a good idea to split it out in the issue this way, but the idea is that there's the larger parent issue for introducing the outside in pattern, and I split off basically into this issue the MVP stuff that we want to get in. So what we have so far is the ability, it adds a new quick edit to all blocks. So right now we don't have it available where eventually you'll click this edit up here, and when you get into this mode, all of the regions you'll just be able to click on and it'll open up what I'm about to show you, but we don't have that part done yet. What now, and I guess also in the future this will also be available, in addition to configure block, you have this quick edit, and what we have now is it just opens up the regular block form. Tim is working on this system. I had a previous issue to show minimalized forms and modals, which I think I closed out today, saying, you know, it's the stuff that Tim's doing sort of supersedes this. But he hasn't merged all those changes in. But eventually, we would take away a lot of visibility settings, stuff like machine readable name, and I think region we had decided. But technically what we're doing is we would just show whatever the particular plugin wants to show and not what the greater block form shows. And I know there are some issues on that last, there was some comments on the last issue from Boyan and Yoroi about, you know, how do we determine what's shown there, and I think that's still an open question. But if you see something like the menu block here, and it's, is this a menu block? Yes, this is a menu block. Why is that not showing correctly? You can reload the page and do the tab. Yeah, so this is, this would be example eventually if we did nothing the way it is, if we didn't selectively decide which elements, then basically right now we would just see the menu item here. We would like to put something more useful in, like something that you actually see a page, I guess, like, actually we can still get through it here from edit menu. It would be nice to have something at least maybe that looked like this, where you had your links and you could rearrange them, possibly get to edit. So possibly combining this form here, this area here, into this form here. The technical part of that is not ready right now, so right now it's just opening up the whole form. There's supposed to be an X, but the last CSS, I'm not sure what's happening here, has taken that away. We also have the left to right. So this is a left to right. Somebody, I guess I set their language to Arabic. comes out on the other side. We sort of figured that because the manage, unless I'm wrong.
It's weird. You're getting the X in the RTL version, but not in the LTR. I need to look at that.
I'm not sure where the manage menu has gone. Oh, it's down here. Because manages, they switch sides, we figured that also ours should also switch side when you're LTR here. Let me see here. So we're still figuring out issues with the CSS. Obviously, it came up right the first time, not the second time. So we're still figuring this out. That's kind of pretty much what we have so far. There's a mechanism to make any link openable in the sidebar, but we're not really using that yet. This has an additional patch applied, so the link that I sent out to this issue, there's a blocking issue that I'll put in the chat. And basically, this issue is that contextual links don't work with use Ajax links. And core, this is a core issue, but I guess I looked around and there's nothing actually in core that uses a modal for or any other Ajax in contextual links. So I think that's why this wasn't found. Basically, the contextual links are kind of made after the Ajax behavior has already been added, so they don't work. The patch I have works for this, so that's what I've applied to get the demo here. The problem is that I haven't figured out how to do a JavaScript test for it yet, and there's actually no JavaScript test for contextual links at all. I guess because they were added before the need to do JavaScript tests, so figuring out how to do a JavaScript test for opening up a contextual link like that and then clicking it is kind of difficult, or at least I haven't done a ton of JavaScript testing inside Drupal core, so it's proving difficult to me. So, questions, thoughts?
Can we submit the form yet, Ted?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be the other thing that would kind of be cool. Okay, so I'm going to do quick edit, search. I'll say search our site, submit the form. And right now it actually does a full reload, and you can see it changes here. It would be nice, and I don't know if this is in VP, but it would be nice if this submitted via Ajax and just reloaded either this particular block or this particular region. If you have the refresh list,
you would get that for free with refresh list, right?
Yeah, if you have the refresh list module, it's really, really easy to do that. So, I mean, one possibility would be to actually just talk to WEM and figure out what the refresh list module is doing, and sort of just do part of that for us, which I don't think would be super hard. It's just I don't know if that makes sense to worry about for MVP. The nice thing would be you could save the site, it would close the sidebar, this would be updated, you could go on to the next one, change something here, that would be updated, save it. Oops, I hit the wrong link. So you could do multiple ones at a time without reloading the page, which I think would be really nice.
Okay. Yeah, now that it allows you to change regions, so they would need to reload at least the region that you started from and the region that...
Yeah, so if, depending on what we consider the minimal form, what we had talked about was about not showing the region in this case, but I guess that's still up in the air. It's like, what is the minimal, amount of the form? Another example is if we do, the site name, we could potentially, once Tim's patches in for the multiple configuration forms, we could actually put the site title in here in the logo, so you could change it, and then you get more useful stuff. I guess it's just a matter is like how, what do we consider minimal? I think if we change, if it did have a case where we left the region in there, it wouldn't be super hard to figure out, what was the old region and what's the new region, and just reload those two regions. But like I said, I don't know if we want to worry about. I mean, obviously, it makes it more useful as far as changing multiple things with one go. I don't know. Like, I'd have to look back on the parent issue that Angie made to see if that was in there. The sort of not having to refresh the page or not.
Right. And we can kind of get to that. We can get to that solution in a sort of a roundabout way, at least for the moment, because we have also in core we have a block place experimental module. So presumably, you could just you could disable the block and then just replace it again in a different region.
That still reloads the page though.
Yeah, yeah. But it gives you the functionality without having to go to an administrative form. You follow me?
Well, I mean, we can already update this, this area here. It's going to reload the page. So if we use block place, it would still reload the page.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And just for people who haven't seen the designs for this, this isn't necessarily exactly matching the most recent prototype because it's actually showing the menu on the vertical menu on the left-hand side, and in fact, ultimately that won't happen. You won't see the menu at the same time that you see the tray with the configuration options in it. Because you'll do an edit.
Yeah. So right now, when the idea is once we go into quick edit mode, it would actually trigger the regular or the new behavior of clicking this edit button, which is to make the site go into edit mode. Matt Grill is working on that JavaScript right now to actually fire that edit mode, which once we do that, it'll be pretty minimal to also make that fire from this link here.
All right. I think I know what's going on with the CSS over there, by the way, on the other side, Ted. Notice that now you have your button and your 100% width in the fields.
Yeah.
I think the page was being pushed over by the menu.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. That seems to be it.
Yeah. That's what was causing it.
Right. So the question is, what's the MVP from that? Like, does the MVP to not show the manage menu, or what's the like?
Yeah, I think the MVP is sort of what we have here with the minimalized form here, with also, I guess, we want to choose one form to sort of show how we can change the configuration over here to make it more useful. And the first one we chose was the menu, or the idea was to do the menu, so we haven't done that yet. And the ability to click edit, and not only do these show up, but anytime you clicked anywhere in a region, so I wouldn't have to hover over here, but if I just hovered like my mouse is here, we would get this sort of ... I would click it, and it would open up the configuration for that particular block. So if I would just clicked anywhere in here, it would open up that. It would also disable any navigation links, so I couldn't accidentally leave the edit mode, and I would have to actually click that again before my navigation links showed up again.
This prevents people from, who have actually made changes in the form on the tray from losing their work.
Yeah, so there's also some more sort of, we haven't actually done any prevention here to stop you from going from right now. I could actually I can reload that form, which I guess is not a super big deal. I would only lose what changes I had just made there. I don't know if we want to lock that out. So yeah, the big thing in the MVP that we haven't touched yet is what happens when you click this edit here.
Yeah.
So that's all I had.
Gabor, was the RTL kind of the way that you had expected it to be?
Yeah, other than the whatever random max in development, yes.
Right. I wasn't sure whether it would be natural to move the close X, to the all the way to the left, or keep it on the right hand side of the panel. I don't know what other people do in that kind of case.
I think if you have the quick edit, the entity quick edit, it does the same. If you have
Yeah.
it, which you don't have here, but
He actually turned off quick edit on this site.
yeah.
But oh yeah, so it puts the X on the left hand side of the quick edit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well then.
Everything is mirrored.
Right.
It needs to, I think, so it's fine.
Right. At least we're following the same pattern.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
That looks great, Ted.
Any other comments from people? Roy, anyone? Aaron?
No, I was just going to say it looks really good. Is there a timeline for when you guys are planning on rolling this into core?
So if we, sorry, did somebody else want to? If we want to get an MVP in for 8.2, we would have to get it in as an experimental module by August 3rd. So that's why in the list of the larger, let me actually link to the larger list. The parent issue. That's why this issue goes through, details of, must have, I guess, required, which means required for the initial commit versus there's some must-haves, which mean I think it's must-have to make it non-experimental. I don't know, August 3rd obviously is very fast. I think we could get the technical parts done by then. I don't know I probably wouldn't be a good judge as far as does that actually mean we could get it committed by then. There's only, I think the stuff that Tim is putting in does have a core patch that's needed to make plugins have multiple forms. The stuff that you've seen here actually is all within the new outside-in module, so hopefully it would be a little less disruptive. The only thing that I was demoing that's not is that contextual links and Ajax bug fix, which technically I could put into this module instead of fixing it in the regular core. It'd be pretty easy to fix it in this module, but I mean, it's a bug in core, so it'd be nice if it was fixed there. So yeah, I think August 3rd or whenever that beta freeze is when it would be if we wanted to get in for 8.2.
But if the core issue gets kind of bogged down, we can just move that code into the experimental module for the time being to make it work, so that the experimental module could be connected to core, because there's a lower bar for experimental module than for a core commit, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is all of the JavaScript that fixes it. It's a really small patch. So I think if either me or somebody else figures out the JavaScript tests, then it I think is likely could be committed. The big problem is that figuring out those JavaScript tests, because basically it's kind of like a technical debt of it was never figured out nobody ever wrote JavaScript test for contextual links in the first place. So,
Mm-hmm.
or for modals. So anything to test use Ajax. I don't know if there are any JavaScript tests for that at all either. So we're kind of having to test a bunch of things that weren't tested in the first place.
Right.
And sorry, I just have one more question. I missed last week's meeting, so I don't know if it was discussed already. Have we done like user testing on all of this? And is there any?
We did do user testing on several initial prototypes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we got some good results back, and we actually rolled some of the results into changes that we made to the design that is being worked off for this actual patch.
Okay.
For that. But we want to test the module, the actual running code itself, which is going to be a much more robust test than the prototype which we've done in like principle. So.
Yeah, we did not have the UX meeting last week, but with the previous UX meeting, there was the results of the testing from Shepard's were presented, and they are shared in the Slack channel as well, somewhere in the archives. You can find it.
Thanks for walking us through this, Ted. I was wondering, is there a way? Is there a way to reproduce this demo? Is there?
Yeah. So basically, all you need is the latest patch from the first one I put out there. Where is this? The latest patch from experimental create outside MVP.
Okay.
And then, but you also need to apply the patch from contextual links don't work in Ajax. So those are the 3 links I just put in Slack. Well, the parent issue I put in Slack, and then these 2 issues. So right now you need the contextual links in Ajax patch just because that's a core bug.
Mm-hmm. You can apply more than one patch in simply test.me, right?
Yeah.
You can?
I think so.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And they shouldn't be conflicting patches at all because you're dealing with different folders. So that is, yeah, I think I'm going off the very last one. If you don't get this one, I can't guarantee the next one will work, obviously, because it's in progress. But it should, hopefully. We do have JavaScript testing for this. Seems to be some problem with Drupal CI today. But I'm testing my patches out locally to make sure they don't break stuff. But we'll see. Did I stop sharing? I stopped sharing, right?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay, thanks. That at least makes it reproducible for others to play around with.
Yeah. So ping me, and I can also put I can put an issue in the. I can put an update to the issue. Say if you want to test this, make sure you have this other Ajax one. There's actually a test module that just provides 2 links. That's basically like a hello world, but to open up the sidebar. So those don't require the patch because they're not Ajax links. The only stuff that you really need it for is, no, sorry, they are Ajax links. They're not contextual links. So it's only when you're introducing a contextual link do you actually need that other patch.
Okay, but if you, I'm not sure I understand, but if you can update the relevant issue with how to test.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Please do.
Yeah, feel free to ping me if you're having trouble getting it going, but I'll update this issue.
Thanks.
Yep. All right.
So what is the feedback you'd be most helped with if people start playing around? I mean, that's how stuff works, but I guess we're also still figuring out what the scope of the MVP is.
Yeah. So I mean, one good feedback I think would be, did I correctly pull over everything from the parent issue that was sort of mark required? So the MVP that I made in this issue,
doesn't match. Yeah.
did I really reflect what? And basically, I'm trying to put here like remaining tasks. And what I tried to do was I tried to pull everything over from the parent issue there and put in here. I don't know if I should have just kept that one issue. I just kind of felt like that other issue could turn out sort of long to discuss stuff that might happen later. So I thought it would be better to have like an issue just to sort of debate or just to figure out like the technical parts of the actual stuff we think is going to get in.
Yeah, it's fine to have an implementation issue apart from the let's discuss things plan issue.
Yeah,
Certainly.
I think, Roy, that it would be really good to have people test out, just the basic interaction pattern of when I click one of the contextual links, then it opens up this tray. How does that feel? Is it jerky? Is it unexpected? Is it weird? Or does it feel natural? Does it feel smooth? That kind of thing. But not the whole meta pattern, because there's parts of the whole meta pattern that aren't really in place yet, like the sort of the edit mode bar that goes across the top. That's not there yet. So when we get all of those things in, at that point, when we have the edit bar on the top and the form shows, what we expect the form to show, then that would be a good point for a lot of people to jump in and start testing things and just trying to configure different blocks via this method. And then I think that's going to start to uncover like some little, quirks and things that we might want to iron out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Thanks.
So hopefully we'll have that top bar pretty soon.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks
and
for
at some point,
Go ahead.
at some point we need to figure out, like, I don't remember if there was a consensus on, what does the minimalized form mean for the block configuration. I mean, I sort of thought there was a consensus on we need a minimalized form, like we don't want the whole thing showing up over here, and then they would have the advanced link here. That was sort of, I'd have to look through, but that was sort of my impression of various issues.
Yeah.
So if we do, then I guess it'll kind of be easier once Tim's patch gets in, because it'll sort of show what the minimal form looks like with very little, like basically not thinking about it much at all, just saying, okay, this is what the actual plugin exposes. I guess the weird part here is you're really showing two things right here, and I guess it's more obvious with the, whoops, I didn't want to do that. It's more obvious.
If you're pointing at things on your screen, remember you're not sharing anymore.
Yeah, let me share real quick. Well, I guess also that what's our time frame? I don't want to. Maybe I've shown enough, and if there was other stuff to look at, we can just do this next time.
That's fine.
I don't know.
That's fine too.
Yeah,
Okay,
just to round out what Ted was saying, maybe you want to get that up, Ted, real quick, and just real quickly show that. But just to round out what Ted was saying about that form, I think that once we, again, once it's testable and we can sort of mess around with it, it's, we're gonna start to notice things and get a sense of, does it make sense to, edit this kind of configuration in place or not? Or, or does this feel like too little stuff or too much stuff? Or, a lot of like little things like that are gonna crop up. And then also questions around, do we want to create an attractive hazard, so to speak, by adding everything that the block plugin includes into this sidebar? Because then module developers are going to start chucking all kinds of stuff into the block plugin just to get it into the sidebar, into the off-canvas tray. So there's several questions that we probably will want to start to talk about around that.
So just what I was going to show here is when you're looking at the block form, you're actually seeing one form embedded inside another form. So in this case, the menu level section here, where did that go? This is the actual configuration of the particular block plugin. Then everything else is from the block entity form. So our first idea was to just say, show whatever the plugin wants to show plus say the title and this display title thing. But everything else that the block form itself shows, don't show that, and you'd have to click the advanced, which would mean you would go back to the sort of current administration screen to change that. The problem with one of the problems with that idea is if we look at a lot of blocks, let's look at the search block. The plugin itself actually adds nothing, so there's nothing configurable about the search block. So the only thing you would see if we followed the suggestion that I had just suggested would be just the title. So maybe that is enough to change, like, oh, I don't want it to say search form, I want to say search our site. Maybe that's useful enough to justify that being in the sidebar. The thing we could do later on is to actually have other configuration here that's related to search, maybe, that you might actually want to do. The idea also would be like, well, if I see this block, what I really want to change is the site name, because that's what I just clicked on. So we could maybe add the site name later on, maybe after the MVP. Or if I click on the menu block, I really want to reorder those menu items.
Yes, where are the links?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, where's the links and where's the site title? That's what I just clicked on. So doing some of that would actually be pretty easy. I think we had kind of wanted to demonstrate just that we could do it with one block as an MVP.
Yeah.
And maybe after that and before it's committed, before it's not experimental, we could actually make a bunch of the blocks more useful. But I think deciding on all those individual blocks, what's useful in each one, probably could take a long time.
Yeah, that's why we have to find heuristics or some rules to derive from. Yeah.
All right. Sure. Okay. I'm done.
Thanks for this.
Yep. Thanks for the feedback.
All right. I think WebCheck posted an issue where she would like a usability review.
The third link does not have a patch. Oh.
Oh, thanks, Gabriel. That's awesome.
Allow removing a module's content entities prior to module uninstall.
Allow removing a module's content. I know the problem. Really similar out of your notes.
Actually, Mark, it's I'm not familiar with it. WebCheck posted it saying it's blocking the workflow initiative. At the same time, it's hard to be seen from a technical point of view, it looks like. So, but WebChick tagged it for needs usability review. Let's see. I'm not sure what it's exactly about, except that the title is pretty concrete in what it's about. But
I think I spoke to yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I think I'm familiar with this. Yeah. Maybe this is different. Maybe this is different.
I think I'm familiar with the practicalities of it, and that is that you can't uninstall a module unless you have removed all the content that is in it. So you can't disable like the nodes one as if there is any content. I know that the paragraphs module, for example, has the same problem. You're basically stuck that you have to manually delete your content before you can disable a module, which is also really a pain if you're developing a site and you're enabling a module in a branch and you switch back to your master branch. So that's a practical result of that issue. But I don't know about the solutions for it.
I mean, it looks like this would actually just warn you there are 2 content items to remove. The action can't be undone. And are you sure you want to delete it? So it deletes it seems like there's a 2-step form. First, it asks you if you want to delete them, you delete them. And then, I'm just not sure what, I guess the last step is actually uninstalling them.
That seems kind of like an insufficient solution to the problem, to me, from a usability perspective. It feels like you want some kind of a solution that migrates them and doesn't delete them.
Well, they're gone, though. I mean, it's basically what's happening is it's like you uninstall. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can install it the node module, but uninstalling the node module, you know, where are you going to migrate those nodes to? You don't have anything that represents nodes anymore. So this other modules can provide content entities. You can't really migrate them other places because there's nowhere to put them.
Yeah, so what this patch does technically is it puts a link, and so before this patch, the uninstall page said that there is content for this entity type, and that's it. And it did not allow you to remove content for that entity type, so there was no way out. You need to go elsewhere and figure it out yourself. And what this patch does is it puts in a link there that says remove content of that type, and then it sets up a page for that link, a totally new page. That basically is a confirm form. You need to confirm that you wanted to delete that stuff, and then it deletes that stuff, and then it redirects you back on the uninstall page once it's deleted, and then you are allowed to go forward. At least the problem of having content is not there anymore. The problem of other dependent modules may still be there, but not the content. That's what it does. It's just a link to a new page. That's a confirm form that if you confirm it, it deletes everything, and then it goes back to the uninstall page. And it requires administrator modules permission to do that content deletion, which is a bit interesting, but I guess it's limiting.
It seems like we opened up a real can of worms when we let any individual module instantiate its own new kinds of content entities, because they don't have to declare any kind of fallback content entity, and therefore you get into a problem where you have content entities and you delete people's content when they might have created quite a lot of content of that entity, and then have to figure out a way to migrate it out in order to get the module out of their site. But anyway, that's a bigger issue than this one.
I think that patch is already providing useful usability for site builders.
It's definitely
because now you already have the problem when you have a default Drupal installation and you want to enable the comment module, you already have to find out where the hell it's used before you can do that. That's before you've even put any content in the site yourself.
Yeah. But it makes things easier for one type of user, but potentially very, very destructive for another kind. So for that user, it's really useful. But for the user who has a site that's been living for many years, perhaps, who then decides to uninstall a module, and they get this one confirm page that says, "Oh, are you sure you want to delete this content that was associated with this module?" And they delete 500 nodes, never to be seen again. It's not so good.
Yeah, that's
And I think that's why NG tagged it needs usability review. Basically wondering if we're yelling hard enough that this is really destructive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, I wonder if in addition to saying this action cannot be undone, something like, this content will not be recoverable or something like that.
Or even adding the number of pieces of, if it's not already added, maybe it is, but adding very large print, 500 nodes will be deleted, or 75 comments will be deleted, or 10,000.
Yeah, it has there are 2 content items to remove. It doesn't.
It does show the number of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you could prompt them to say you also may want to back up your database, though obviously if they're just a site builder and they don't, I don't know, like it's not, we're not giving them a way to back up their database. But
Yeah.
But by now you can't do site building without regularly backing up your database. So
yeah. But yeah, so maybe if we just told them, you may want to back up your database or something.
Yeah. I'm less concerned about the site builder, though, and more concerned about the site owner. The site builder is presumably going to know that they need to back up their database. The site owner, who the site gets handed off to after the site builder is done with their work, may not necessarily be backing up their database or know how to back up their database. They may not be following best practices. I think we need to assume that they're not doing those kind of things, and not allow them to, with 3 clicks of the mouse, potentially delete massive amounts of content.
Yeah,
maybe backing up the database needs to be a required step in this workflow. That you must back up the database in order. You must first. It will take you directly to the configuration page for creating a backup of your database.
But we don't have that page.
That's not in core.
Well,
we had it in Drupal 7. Why did we lose it in Drupal 8?
No, there's no way of backing up the database through there.
I mean, one thing you could do is you could add a checkbox saying, I understand that all this content will be removed and cannot be recovered.
I agree to the terms and conditions. Yeah.
Well, the testing shows, Ted, that people click right through that kind of stuff. They look. It's destructive. It's almost the kind of thing that I would want. That it's so destructive that I would want them to have to actually type a long line of text into a text field. To read a long line of text and type it into a text field. Yes, I agree that I will be deleting 500 pieces of content. Enter.
Would it help if we list the items?
That would certainly help, because in other places
that makes it easier to estimate, to see what's actually being removed.
I think that's definitely that's a good.
And what do you do if there's
10,000?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We show
the first 50. Yeah. passionate.
We already have a content view. That's not a problem. We already have a content view. We just pull in the content view, another instance of the content view, with filters already set to.
Well, no, it wouldn't work because this is not necessarily nodes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Boyan has a good point in Slack. There is already a pattern somewhere that we communicate a list of things with just bullets, right? Thinking how and where.
If you would want it, what I was suggesting, Roy, is that you would want it to be a view, because then it would be filterable. Because if you were going through and you were seeing, I'm going to delete all these things, but presumably the user is going to be asking themselves the question, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to delete this kind of thing, and then they're going to want to filter on what that kind of thing is. Whatever that kind of thing is that they just absolutely don't want to be deleted.
Right. So here is, I'm posting this in Slack. If I select multiple items in the content list and then choose delete from the bulk operations, and it shows a list of those items.
I think a list like that would be really useful, because certainly in a site that has been running for a long time, it can typically happen that the machine name is very different than the name that the user knows the things as.
Yeah.
So they might not be aware that they're actually deleting all their newspaper articles because the content type was called something different. So listing the actual titles, I think, is useful, and it also gives the relevance of this. Like if it's only 2, then yeah, you can see that very easy. If you can't actually read the list because there's so many, you might be less likely to hit that button. However, the delete button should certainly not be blue down there.
Exactly. Yeah, good point.
So in that image that Yoroi posted, or I guess the question on that Boyan talked about, the shortcuts, breakpoints, and contact.
Yeah, do those have titles?
Shortcuts are content entities. Breakpoints, I think, are config, and contact forms are config. So most of the content entities usually have a label. I mean, they don't have to have unique labels, but they're more likely to, I would think. So you could put the labels out there.
So what's your feedback to the issue? Can we in general? Not explicit enough about what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, not explicit enough, and not just not explicit enough. Not enough intentional friction added to slow down the operation. Like we have done elsewhere in core, we have added this pattern of the user must, or maybe not in, maybe we haven't done this in core. Maybe we did it in an Acquia product. Yeah, I think in an Acquia product we added something. There was something we were doing where it was deleting people's actual code bases and databases on the server. Where we forced people to actually type in, yes, I want to do this, and then hit enter. I think that level of friction, of intentional friction, needs to be added here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll add a comment.
Yeah, I agree. Since like Roy said that if we had a checkbox, then people would just I agree to the terms of service kind of automatically.
Yeah, sure.
Checkbox. And requiring them to type something is kind of hard to do unintentionally.
Yeah.
I'll add something of that kind to the issue as a comment. I guess we think it needs work, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I'll update the issue accordingly.
awesome.
Good.
So, yeah.
And we're an hour in. So. Anybody already know that he or she wants to present something next week?
No, not for me.
I mean, if people aren't tired of seeing it, I'm hoping we'll have a lot more on that the stuff that I showed this week. So
It's useful to check in on that.
yeah.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Awesome.
Okay. Any final remarks?
Yeah, just that should not stop others from doing all kinds of other awesome stuff. So
Yeah.
everyone else is welcome, obviously.
Yes. Doesn't have to take the long.
Yeah, I can't stop swimming.
Yeah, I'll take some offline time and review the status page for Christina, and encourage others to do so since we did not have time for that this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think just with a little feedback on the issue queue will be enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Yay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks all. See you
Bye.
next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.